Should I avoid it or try?
What did
Try
he
to
do
avoid
now?
it?
I'm not up to speed on his latest.
Well, the latest is from actually yesterday morning. It was on CNN's New Day, where Donald Trump was being interviewed on the phone. They say he's one of the only candidates that will do that the networks will allow him to do a phone interview. Most of them want a live shot or something, but Trump always seems to get phone interviews. And it's because he says, well, if you don't want to do my phone interview, then you're not going to get an interview. So they do a phone interview. But yesterday on New Day, Trump talked about, there's a lot of talk about there. A lot of talk yesterday about Paul Ryan being recruited in I guess the brokered convention versus a contested convention, two different things. Trump. Well, let's listen to the clip. Is it being blown out of proportion? It's all everybody seems to be talking about today. That is the line. I think you'd have riots, is what everybody's jumping on.
Well, compared to some of the other things that he said, I think it pales in comparison. I didn't think that was that big of a deal. But can I ask you about Paul Ryan for a second?
Yeah. He's
being recruited for what? To run?
There's been a lot of talk. Now, Ryan says it won't happen. He's denying it, but a lot of talk that in a brokered convention where nobody gets the proper number of delegates, which is what did we say yesterday? It's 1,237 delegates. Then things begin to change, and someone might be recruited. You saw it on House of Cards. And then the president will grab like a letter opener and put it up against somebody's throat and then just say he's kidding. I think that's how this whole thing goes down. But it's possible. I mean, that is possible that could happen. And Ryan is saying, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to do that. So that's the talk going on today. So they're saying, what if, and there's been a lot of this talk for the last few weeks, what if Trump doesn't get the 1237? And they bring someone else in. And what he's saying here is, listen, if I had like 1,100, but I don't have the 1237 and somebody else has 600, and that person gets the nomination, well, there would be riots.
So is Paul Ryan like Captain America or Batman or something? He didn't want to be the House Speaker, right?
He doesn't want to do anything.
He didn't want to be the House Speaker, but no, he's got to do it, and he's doing it for America. So they coerce him into doing this, or convince him. Maybe that's a better term. He takes on, even though he didn't want it, and now he's being talked about for President of the United States when he never was in the race. He just does it all, huh?
And I don't think he's, unless this is House of Cards, where he's really floating this and saying, oh, no, I won't do it. He's saying, I'm not doing this. This is not going to happen. I have nothing. Stop talking about this, is what he's saying. Is it House of Cards? And if you haven't seen the series, a lot of times these things are floated, and then so if it was a House of Cards theme, it would be Paul Ryan actually leaking this and having his people leak it, and then he comes in and says, absolutely not, I would never do this. If it was a House of Cards moment. Frank Sinatra Jr. died yesterday of a heart attack while he was on tour in Daytona, Florida. He was young, right? 72 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He had a music career that stretched over 50 years, but he was probably most famous for being kidnapped in 1963 when he was 19 years old. As close as anybody to his dad, Frank Sinatra.
With all due respect, I mean, that's Frank Sinatra karaoke right there.
It's
not the real thing.
Although Frank Sinatra Jr. was the band leader in the later years when Sinatra would perform. And it was kind of, how we had a coach on yesterday talking about coaching with your son. And this, so I'm at the War Memorial in Syracuse watching the show, which was awesome. It was one of the last shows that Sinatra had done. And his son said something, and Sinatra was like yelling at him. What? What are you talking about? And he was kind of screwing up the lyrics at that point in his career and stuff. But, Frank Sinatra Jr., there he was being yelled at by his dad on stage. Even though Jr.'s music career lasted half a century and he often worked alongside his father, he probably is best known for being kidnapped, as we said, back in 1963 when he was 19 years old. Frank Sr. paid $240,000 in ransom to get him back, but the three kidnappers were eventually caught. Lawyers for the accused tried to argue that Frank Jr. had arranged the whole thing as a publicity stunt. Even rumors that Frank Sr. did it to jumpstart his son's singing career, but there's no evidence to support any of it. Here's an interesting side note. When Frank Jr. was abducted, the kidnappers made Frank Sr. communicate with them via payphones. So from then on, he always carried 10 dimes with him just in case something terrible happened.
Wow.
Yeah. He was even buried with 10 dimes in his pocket. He died in 1998, and by then, calls were 25 cents. So he'd have to use more than one of those dimes to make the call. Here's Frank Sinatra Jr. and his mom holding a press conference after he was found. I've been hearing those old-time reporters. It's really kind of funny. And he's 19, and Mom wanted to take him home so she could feed him. That's something right there.